He's a Hall of Famer. He's Reggie Miller, the NBA on TNT. He joins us now. Aloysius, how are you?
Wouldn't that be interesting if the Knicks in this coming draft? Oh, wait a minute. They don't have a first-round draft pick.
Wait. Fritzy, wait, let me secure your phone line here. Fritzy. Okay, did Reggie's phone just start doing that? Yeah. All right. Are we okay, Fritzy?
Yeah, he's going to call back.
Okay. But did it sound like that?
If it sounded like that, would I just put him on hold and let it sound like that on the air? We've been through this.
I don't know.
You know I'm
Okay, but you pick up the phone. You talk to Reg.
right.
Then you put him on hold. Then
Yes.
I pick up the phone. And then all of a sudden.
Hang on 1 second.
Okay, there's Reggie calling back. We'll see if we got a better phone line here. Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
I don't. But it
Okay.
happens sometimes, and it's
Okay.
automatically assumed I'm
All right.
just slamming the guy on
All right.
hold.
Okay.
And
All right.
crossing
All right.
my fingers that it's going to sound good.
I
on
look
the air.
forward to talking to Reg. I want to make sure I'm hearing every syllable here. Reg joins us now.
Kumbaya. Come on, guys.
All right.
Kumbaya.
Wait,
No arguing in the studio.
but you used to. Did you ever get into a heated argument with a teammate?
all the time.
Did you ever nearly fight?
But that's why you guys are like soul brothers, you know?
That's true.
Because you can argue at one juncture and then turn around and be on the same sides and go out and conquer the world at the other.
Did you ever fight a teammate?
Yes.
Who?
George McLeod.
How'd that go?
I would say he probably won on points.
But how physical did it get?
Oh, well, we were swinging. See, the thing about when you fight teammates, as opposed to when you get in fights during the game, no one's going to break it up because you want to get to the bottom of it. So you'll get to the bottom of it. No one's going to jump in and break it up. Until, obviously if there's blood drawn, which there wasn't, but normally they go longer than the fights. Like, for instance, the Blake Griffin, P.J. Tucker little skirmish the other day. That was like, you knew guys were going to jump in because no one wants to get suspended. Obviously, Tucker got thrown out, but no one wants that, $50,000 fine or anything like that. When you get into a fight with one of your teammates and it's in practice and there's no referees and no one's in the building, they tend to go a little bit longer.
Well,
and they can fester over into the players' lounge or in the locker room.
That Marcin Gortat wants to have fighting in the NBA. What the hell is this knucklehead?
I don't know.
That's exactly what we need. We need some fighting in the NBA.
No, we don't.
All right, Phil Jackson to the Knicks. Tell me why it will work.
I'm not quite sure it will work. I will say this. This is why I do like it. For so many reasons, everyone said Phil Jackson has always had a stacked deck. He inherited Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, goes on and wins 6 rings with Chicago. Goes to L.A., gets Kobe, gets Shaq, wins 3 more, and then Kobe and Powell 2 more. So from my personal view, I want to see when the deck will not be stacked because going to New York, it will be the bare minimum. Yeah, you have a great player in Carmelo Anthony, but that's it because it's the uncertainty with him after this coming season. And how much control will he really have? I have to believe if he's going to take the Knicks job, there has to have been some internal discussions, obviously, with James Dolan on how much control and say that he's going to have going forward.
What about Steve Kerr as the head coach?
I like it. I do. I know people are going to question there's no head coaching experience there, and at times Steve can be a little vanilla, but I like that. I think if you're going to run the triangle system, and Steve Kerr was fabulous with the Bulls in running that system under Phil Jackson, you got to bring your guy in. Now, again, we're jumping the gun here because right now Mike Woodson's the coach. I don't want to put him on the chopping block, even though everyone else has. Yeah. But if Phil Jackson's going to come in and he's going to bring in his own organization, obviously, and his guy, and if it is Steve Kerr, I don't mind the hire. I know I've had informal talks with Steve just messing around, and I know he kind of wants to get into coaching, so maybe this is the right avenue.
Okay, but you were with Reggie.
I just look at the Knicks, and I'm not quite sure if it's going to be your first gig. I don't know if you want to get your feet wet. I don't know if you want to jump in the deep end that way.
Okay, you were with the Turner Sports people yesterday, and Steve Kerr's part of the NCAA tournament coverage. So you had your opportunity to be around him yesterday. He said he couldn't come on the show with all the talk about Phil Jackson. You don't come on the show when there's something that's attached to this. Where there's smoke, there's fire. If he's not coaching, not interested, then Steve Kerr's coming on the show. I think Steve Kerr is, if Phil goes, it seems like it's Steve Kerr's job to turn down.
Not only was I in the same building, I sat right next to little Stevie at the seminar. And I looked him right in the face and like, what is the deal? You're on the back. You're on page 6, my friend. He's like, Reg, this is the worst day to have media day for the NCAA tournament. So I'm with you. If he's not going to come on Dan Patrick when asked, where there's smoke, there's okay. Something has to be going on.
Do
with
you
little
think
Stevie.
he takes the job? Do you think that he eventually becomes the Knicks head? I know Mike Woodson's there. Do you think Steve Kerr is going to eventually be the head coach of the Knicks?
If Phil Jackson gets the gig?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I do believe that.
All right. Who's in worse shape lineup-wise, the Lakers or the Knicks?
I would say the Lakers, and the only reason why I say that is I'm not quite sure what I'm going to get back from Kobe Bryant next year. Yeah, he's talking about revenge, and it's sweet, and it'll come quick, but he's coming off 2 pretty serious injuries. And they just like the Knicks, they don't have a lot of cap space, a lot of room to maneuver. You don't know where Powell's going to go. I think Powell's going to look for a different destination, even though he says he doesn't want to leave. I'm not quite sure on the coaching situation there. I love D'Antoni. The system hasn't fit, hasn't gelled. So I would say the Knicks. I would say the Lakers. The Knicks, if you get Phil Jackson, I think Carmelo has a better shot of staying if Phil comes. He has to take less money so they can get better players to surround him.
Yeah. But I'm looking at the Knicks here. I look at that roster. I don't want anybody back. I mean, I'd begrudgingly take Melo back if Melo was in on the rebuild, and sort of like Jordan was with the Bulls, where he took less money so you could bring in more talent. I just don't know if it's all about the money with Carmelo. And Phil has said, can you imagine Melo and Phil Jackson?
Well, I will say this. I would bring back Chandler. I think Chandler needs a new system. The system is not working.
How old is Tyson Chandler?
33?
30? Yeah.
34?
Yeah. That's a big ticket. I don't want Bargnani. I don't want Bargnani. Tyson
I like
Chandler's
Hardaway
30.
Jr. as a young player.
Yes. Okay. That's good. Chandler's 31. All right. So that's not bad. By the way, he's got the skinniest legs. Skinnier than yours.
For a center,
yes.
For a center.
Yeah, he has no lower body. I love the attitude he has. He's the reason why the Mavs won a title. But, all right, I got him.
And again, you keep forgetting he won Defensive Player of the Year in New York.
I know.
So we know he has the capability. I think it's going to be a challenge in both places, Lakers and New York. How interesting is this? Because I don't think this has ever happened. Think about some of the historic franchises in the NBA, and they're all not making the playoffs. Lakers, Knicks, Boston,
76ers. Yeah. But out of all of the teams right now, if I said you could have their immediate future, Sixers, Lakers, Knicks, Celtics, who are you taking?
I would probably take Philly.
Yeah, I would
Michael
too.
Carter-Williams, Nerlens Noel, and then you have a whole bunch of draft picks coming up. I would take the Sixers. Okay,
but is a free agent going to go there? See, that's part of the problem.
Well, they have draft picks.
Yeah.
So this is a good up-and-coming draft.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a couple draft picks. And then once you surround that with a young talent, Philly's a great place to play, especially if you're winning. You got to win. If you're winning, it's great. If you're losing, not so much.
It seems like you got teams sputtering in the East right now. The Pacers. My problem with the Pacers is not changed. I think they're built for the playoffs, but my problem is they have nobody who can beat you off the dribble. They have nobody who creates. They have a good talent there, but can they match the Heat when they need to? And here's one for you: is Toronto a sleeper here, or is that just me inflating the Raptors right now?
No, it's not. I wouldn't say they're a sleeper. They're a scary team. With Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, those are two guys that can flat out not only put the ball in the basket, but can beat you off the dribble. They've got bigs in Jonas Valanciunas as well as Tyler Hansborough coming off the bench. They're a scary team. I wouldn't say they're a sleeper. I still want to see them when the lights are on and you put them in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
Because those guys haven't been in that. So it'll be interesting to see that in that dynamic. But they're a scary team, and a lot will depend on where they end up seeding-wise, because right now I believe they're either tied with Chicago or Chicago's right above them, and that would be that 4 or 5 matchup. If Chicago has home court advantage, I like Chicago.
Did you ever?
Well, even if they didn't, I would still like Chicago in that first-round matchup between those two.
You ever recruit a player to Indiana the way Joakim Noah is accused of recruiting Carmelo Anthony to Chicago?
No, I've never called anyone up or saw someone at the All-Star. Look, I mean, that's one thing. Chicago, New York, L.A., yeah, Miami, you get those recruiting wars. Me going to Michael Jordan and say, hey, do you want to come to Indiana, MJ? That's not going to happen.
But did he ever ask you if you wanted to come? Did anybody recruit you to go play for their teams?
No.
But you guys didn't get along with each other. Back then, nobody was...
Yeah, I couldn't play with MJ. I wanted to beat MJ. I didn't want to play with MJ. I respect MJ, the best ever. But I would get more satisfaction out of beating him than playing with him.
What about the Celtics or Lakers? Could you have played with those teams?
I probably could have. I would have loved to have played with Larry Bird and been a Celtic. Played with Boston.
Yeah.
In my heyday, not like when Danny Ainge was asking me to come back, but I could see because that was my kind of system.
Man, you were so
move
close.
the basketball, you shoot threes, and yeah.
How close were you to going to the Celtics?
If Danny would have called in July as opposed to August, I probably would have because he would have gave me more time to prepare. But he called me late August, and it wasn't enough time for me to shock and prepare my body.
Well, you would have looked a lot slower in a Celtic uniform. No matter, who wears the Celtic uniform, they just look slower.
Really? The black shoes and the black socks, it just wouldn't have worked for me, eh?
But remember when
the
Celtics ran back then when you had
I know.
Bird,
People
McHale,
forget
Parrish.
that. People forget, like, with Danny Ainge and DJ and John Bagley days and all, they ran.
John Bagley. I mean, Bird would be down there leading the break, and you'd go...
Yes, they were scoring 120, 115 points a game.
Yeah. I do miss those days.
I think it's going. I would tell you this.
Okay.
It's going to be great playoffs this year, especially in the Western Conference. The first round matchups in the West are going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't wait.
And everybody is doing their best to look at some other team other than the Spurs to come out of the West. Like, people are just begging. And here the Spurs, they just beat everybody. They're just a professional group of players. Unbelievable.
And let's give we always do say it that he is the best coach in the game, Greg Popovich, but I don't think he gets nearly enough.
Reggie doesn't want it. He does not want it.
Look, this guy is the best coach in basketball right now and is arguably top 5 best coaches of all time.
I don't think you could have played for him.
I would have loved to play for Pop. To have played for
and
Pop.
He's a military guy. You would have eaten that up.
Oh my
the
God!
discipline.
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
All right, Reg's part of the TNT NCAA coverage, so we'll talk about that next week with him, and of course the NBA as well. Reg, good to visit with you again, brother.
Theodore, you're always truly spectacular, along with my great Danettes.
Thank you, bud. Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer.